All right. This is our game. Hi, I'm Nicholas Galicia.
I'm Carlos Moreno.
And I'm Jacob Dick. So the game is pretty similar to blackjack, but instead of playing with cards, you're playing with dice. So the objective of the game is for two players to get as close to 21 as they can without rolling over. So when players, you roll, you start off with two dice and you roll them and your points add up and you can either stay or keep rolling. And once you hit 16 points, I guess you can call them, then you are only left with one dice to roll. So if I'm at 19 and I roll my dice and it's over, and let's say I roll a 3, that would be a bust because I went over 21. And if the other player doesn't bust, then they win. And there's ties in this game, and both players can also lose too. So the in this game in particular, because once you get above 16, we remove a dice. 15 is actually the most risky number to roll on because there's a 7 in 12 chance that you bust with that. And so this does require strategy. Well, it is mostly luck. There's some skill, just like blackjack, figuring out your odds of winning. And then after each game, your points are added up, and they're compiled into so you can keep track of score. And I think that is it for the rules.
So how does this code work? So first we got our properties. We have the simple player one hand score. The hand is the number they have during the game, and the score is the number of wins. You can play consecutively. There is a play again button. You have the starting player and the current player. The starting player and current player are really important, not only for the online person, but for the local person, because we don't want both of them to be able to play at the same time. This just allows us to moderate the different dices, because you have them on two separate sides of the screen. This allows for us to have music in the background, and allows for the music to play. And then here is all our keys for the online portion. So first off, we have the clear ThinkSpeak channel. This is also basically the reset button. So when you start the game, this function plays automatically. It sets everything to 0, and then it sets the win score to 0. And then if it's online, then it would also write all of the channels and saying that it's 0. And then comes the next section is the player selection app, which is basically like you don't want one player to start playing the game online before the other one has even selected the player. So what this does is basically goes through a thing saying if one player hasn't clicked, it won't continue. It'll just keep going through a loop, and that's what it is. Here's the update GUI, which is basically we have it on a timer and starts with the startup function. It basically reads the data from ThinkSpeak and it updates each player's thing, the bust, the hand, the scores automatically. And then we have the dice animation. Dice animation is basically it'll play a dice sound. It will go through, like right here it says for 12 times it'll pick a random image of a dice and display it, constantly going through it. And then I have it so that it gets longer through each thing, kind of like how dice slow down when they roll. So it will get longer through each pass through. And then it will automatically select to the dice number that they have. This waiting animation is for when you're online only. It'll say waiting for player when it's not your turn. And then you have the screen animation, which happens when you press start, all the things slide off the screen instead of just disappear. Kind of gives it more pizzazzle. We have our intro music, which is the Halo theme. Come on, Halo's really good. Then we have our background music. Our background music is actually the thing that starts the app. It will start playing once all the startup function is gone. Then it will actually start going through everything. So it waits to see if both player buttons have been selected. Then it'll actually start playing the background music, and then it will make everything visible, and the players can actually start playing. Here's all the game functions such as roll. We have roll. We have a check bust. Every time someone rolls, it checks for a bust. Every time it determines that there's a bust on, it will go to the bust function, which will display like a sound and a image, allowing for it. There's a local function for this and a online function for each one. So this is the online version of it. There's also a check stand. If someone presses stand, it'll do the check stand, which basically meaning each bust and stand will go through this thing first, saying if the other person has either stood or busted, it'll check win. It'll go to the win section. If not, it'll make the other player give the other player a chance to run. And then here's the online version of it as well. And then for win, the target score is 21. So for online, it will go through all of this for online and to see if both hands are greater than 21, or if one hand's greater than 21. Then if no one's busted, then it will see whoever's closer to 21. That's by doing the absolute score of the target minus, so 21 minus the player 2's hand is less than the 21 minus the player 1's hand, then player 2 wins, and then vice versa right here. If player 1's hand is smaller, then that means they're closer to 21. And then there's a local part of it. This is just for the online part. The local part is basically does the exact same thing. It just displays images a little differently because you're on a single screen compared to two screens. And then it will, after the win function has gone, the rules button will display and the play again button will display. And then here's the which player function, which is really important for online part, but not really important for like this thing. Startup function. So the game automatically starts up online. Players have to select local if they want to play local. It's the app.current screen is actually a very important thing that allows the app to know which screen it is so that it doesn't mess with other code. Now, when it first starts, it loads all of the dice, all the dice images 1 through 6 of each side of the dice into a structure, or I guess this is a cell that it will select from later when you press the roll button. Here's all the main channel IDs, and then right now everything will be off. It sets everything off, just like how you saw earlier, and then it will start the clear things, the clear things speak channel, which basically zeros all the scores. Then it will turn the app player 1 button, app player 2 button, and local button on, and this starts the player selection timer. This is a separate timer than the update GUI timer that does this command. So it says like while the player 1 selected and player 2 selected have not been selected, it will read ThinkSpeak and it will say, and then it will change it depending on if ThinkSpeak has changed it. And it'll keep playing the intro music, and it won't stop until app.player1 is no longer equal to 0 and app.player2 is no longer equal to 0. But if local is selected, which if you click local, it breaks the command and it goes automatically to the next one. And then online mode, because we can't have both players selecting the starting player, we have whoever player 1 is, select the starting player so it doesn't interfere. And then player 2, after waiting for a while, 0.5 seconds, will be given who the starting player is. And then this starts the update timer, which starts the GUI, which basically means that now they will be synced. And then if it's local, the app that starting player will be selected. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to wait on anyone. And then it starts the background music.
This goes over when both players select start for the online function. And then once both have selected start, it runs through all the animations. And then this runs through showing the dice to each player. So it automatically chooses which is player 1, and then it'll display the dice to that player 1, and then it'll also display it to player 2. But then for the local function, it's just going to display both images of dice on one screen. So for this function, it is going to be the play again button. It's going to run back through all the animations so that the scores get reset and then they're able to play again. And then this also happens for the local function down here. And then it's just going to be operating on one screen because local function is just one computer. And then for these parts, these are really just the fundamentals. This is the roll function, the roll button, and then the for player 2. And then this is for player 1. This is the stay button. And then for both players, this is the online section. And then this roll button is for the title screen so that they pop up. And then this one is going to be throughout the game. If a player presses the rules button, it will do an animation and the rules will come up mid-game. And then this is for the back button for when you're in the rules section. And then for this section, this is also for the online portion. This is when a player selects player 1. It automatically assigns them the number 1 value so that the code knows which is player 1 and which is player 2. This is correlates with this line of code. And then this is just for when you're in the main menu and you select the local function. And then for this section, it is going to be the background section. So in the main menu, you'll see a button where you can scroll through different backgrounds that year. And then for this section, this is the last section. This is for the credits to come up and where we are all mentioned.
So now we're going to show a demonstration of the app.
So we play a local game because we're just playing on one computer. And we're going to show you the table button right here. We have felt background, box background, and the default bar background. There's the credits button, back button works, and the start screen rules button. And then we're going to press start, and this starts the game. And mid-game you can press the rules button too, just in case you forget. So Carlos and I are going to play, and Carlos is going to go first.
Right here, it puts the 1 die.
So Carlos stays at 19, which is a pretty good strategy. And here I am, I have to beat 19, so there's no option to stay for me. And I busted. So Carlos wins, and he gets a point added to his score.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.